think back when you were 13 years old. Can go back that far. You had a beard. Your voice changed. Remember all that? You loved girls. Well, there were all kinds of wonderful things that happened at 13. But I lived in Nazi Germany. And on the 10th of November was Kristallnacht. I don't know how many of you here had friends, relatives who were in the Kristallnacht, but I was. Up came 14 stormtroopers to our apartment. They trashed and smashed the whole apartment, so that very little was left. They beat up my father, and my parents wanted to protect me from ever seeing or going through this terror ever again. Well, they sent me on a children's transport. Those of you who speak German, Kindertransport. And I went, and they took me to the station. In my suitcase, they packed the family recipe book, which later on in our lives became the livelihood for our whole family. We then, they took me over to this compartment. I settled in, needless to say, 13, cute girl next to me. We bonded on the way, but at the border, a stormtrooper came into our compartment. Take those suitcases down, open them. Oh my God, my heart went pitter-patter because the family recipe was in my suitcase. He left it untouched. Thank goodness. We went to Klugman, Holland, took the boat over to Harwich, and then we went to London, where we were distributed, if you will, all over England. And I was the first name to be called. And a guy took me, rushed me to King's Cross Station. And he said, you have to get on that train. And he took my suitcase, put me in, hustled me into the baggage car, saying to the baggage man, let him off in Leeds. I didn't know where Leeds was. I was scared stiff. I talked to the man. I learned Cockney English. No, I learned Oxford English. I couldn't speak Cockney. So here I was, not understanding a word that he was saying. We got to Leeds, he let me off, and 25 miles later, I was delivered at a group home. All the kids came from Austria, and the house parents came from Austria. Can you imagine? We are all Jewish, but they blamed me for having brought about the annex of Austria and World War II. And then, finally, a visa arrived, and I was able to go to the United States and reunited with my parents and my brother, and that was home.
a dysfunctionally functional family shine like a death. I grew up in a funky old inn up in New Hampshire, and in 2002 my husband and I took over running Pierce's Inn with 3 kids under 5. So while we're trying to wrangle those, luckily my parents lived next door and they were our advisors. So we had them helping us out in this crazy time. 11 months after we took over, my father had a massive stroke. And as sad as this is, he was ready to go. This guy was ready for the next dimension. So over the course of the week, my 6 older siblings and their kids gathered at Pierce's Inn, took over all the rooms, and during the time that we are grieving the impending death of my father, we were also having to keep in mind that that Friday, we would need to have the inn completely ready for a rehearsal dinner and some paying guests. But we're trying to focus on the situation at hand. On Thursday, we took my father off life support as he had requested. And that man rocked on. He rocked on until 3 a.m. on Friday. And so my family, we said our tearful goodbyes, we went home, we had 2 hours of sleep, and we woke up for a full family in-keeping jam session. And this is exactly what my dad would have wanted on the day he died. You know, he would want his 6 children and all his grandchildren cooperating with a common goal. Perfect. And we were mourning in motion while we're cleaning toilets, slinging chow, like making beds, doing it all. And most of my siblings, they knew how to work a punch list. They were good about that. But my sister Winston, she's a cleaning diva. She does what she thinks needs to be cleaned. And the thing about Winston, after being a stripper for 15 years, she's never without a saucy outfit. And she showed up to the cleaning party wearing these little girly jammies with these like steamy kiss marks all over them. Underneath, she's got like the Jane Russell flesh tone supersonic bra holding the silicone sisters together. Down below, she's got the wee flossy thong, and somehow she is working a camel toe in jammies. Who does that? Too much data for me, I'm sorry, just too much. And she insists she's going to clean the ashes out of the fireplace. So I just get her the mask and the shop vac and the Tyvek suit, and just don't even bother, in telling her that it's not that essential to clean the ashes out on August 8th, and I move on to what needs doing. And so in the afternoon, 2 hours before people were supposed to arrive, the doorbell rings. And Winston gets to the front door before me. While she's not in the hazmat suit anymore, she is in those kinky, stinky jammies. So I go into a sprint. I'm gonna intercept. And I missed it, they're in the door. And then I think to myself, wait, this is gonna be really funny. So I watch these people come in. The woman is my sister's height. She is taken aback. The man is 5 foot tit on my sister. All I can see are his bugging eyes over my sister's shoulder with his head as far back on his neck as it could possibly be. And she says to them, "Hello, welcome to Pierce's Inn. Just want to let you know our father died this morning. But it's okay, because we're going to give you a great party." They are looking around like, are you kidding? Is someone taking a video, gonna play it to us later? And then they say, okay, no, it turns out they look around at my family, the odd squad is clear, and they realize they're stuck with us for 48 hours. And I realized my father had created this juicy opportunity for my family to do the work we're on the planet to do. And that is to work around our tweaks and all our differences. And the gene pool swirl had my sister Winston and me. We are as different as we can get. She, I love her, but we laugh. She is sad for me. I'm a fashion enemy. I'm giving her feedback on that stripper cha-cha she's got going. She wants to give me a makeover. I want to give her a make-under. And aren't we all, while we're all wishing that, everyone else would just come to their senses, we are doing the work that we're supposed to do, and that is finding harmony among each other as a family, as a staff, as a community, and the world. And this work we will be doing until we take that big and final exit ramp. Thank you.
There's a saying about how wisdom is good judgment. And you acquire good judgment through experience. And you get experience through bad judgment. I have this habit of incredibly terrible judgment, which is based on a really groundless faith that everything will somehow just work out fine. And of course that means that I'm headed for a rare wisdom. I mean, if I live to get there. Here's an example. I was at a professional workshop once that was held at Whistler, the ski resort. Okay, this is the best kind of workshop. Session started at 7 in the morning, and then at 8:30 there's a break, and then we reconvene at 4:30. The downside was that this was very early in the season. It was like a month before winter technically began. And the skiing conditions were not good. The snow cover was poor. The visibility was astonishingly poor. Like, the fog was such that at times I literally could not see the tips of my own skis through the fog. So that's how things were when I decided to take a lift up to ski down a part of the mountain I hadn't been to yet. The map showed this long, winding blue trail. Blue is the designation for intermediate level. And it was surrounded on all sides by double blacks, which is super expert only. Not for me, but the blue trail looked manageable and appealing, and I was really looking forward to it. And I get up to the top of the lift, and there's a rope across that whole side of the mountain. And the sign on the rope says, "We haven't opened this yet. You can go past this point if you want, but we're not patrolling past here. And do not go through, A, unless you have avalanche training and backcountry experience and a radio beacon, and I don't even know it all. And B, even if you have all of that, don't go through if you're alone." And of course I have none of those things and I'm alone. Right? So the right judgment here is incredibly clear-cut. I stood there for, could have been 10 minutes, trying to decide which way to go. Through the rope, or back down the open way. On the one hand, obviously I should not go past this rope. On the other hand, that's the way I had wanted to go. For minutes I stood there wrestling with this. And finally I said, you know what? I am actually going to go back down the open way. I had made that decision. And then I realized, in all that time I'd been standing there, dozens of people had come up the lift and gone under the rope. And I said, well, hang on a second. Like, surely not all of these people can have all of this training and equipment. I mean, the sign must be exaggerating. And anyway, there's so many people going that way, I wouldn't be alone. I'd be surrounded by trained, well-equipped experts. I have faith. Everything will work out fine. So I waited for the next group to come up the lift and ducked under the rope with them, and of course you know what happened next, right? They all went and vanished in the fog. I'm alone. And very soon after that I realized I was no longer on the blue trail. I had strayed from the path, in a fairy tale, and I was deep into the double blacks. And very soon I was skiing not with the goal of having fun, but with the goal of somehow getting to the bottom alive. Just being as slow and controlled as I could possibly manage, which was limited because I was really not that great a skier in extremely steep and treacherous and invisible terrain. And in situations like this, I tend to talk to myself out loud. It keeps up my spirits. Now, you have to be very careful about what you say out loud, because it attracts dramatic irony. Right? You know, someone says something like, things couldn't possibly get any worse, or what could go wrong? And you know exactly what's about to happen. So there I was, saying out loud to reassure myself, this is okay, I've got this under control, everything's gonna be fine, I'm gonna make it down alive. And that's when I skied off the cliff. I had a moment to wonder what might be at the bottom before I hit it. Shim first. It turned out to be a deep snowdrift, as luck had it, about 15 feet down, and I managed to dig myself out and excavate my scattered equipment, and eventually made it to the bottom alive. Validating my faith! Everything worked out fine. So, in conclusion, I think this kind of judgment is really a very useful habit. It's helping me barrel towards wisdom with tremendous speed and efficiency. What could go wrong?
So I'm educator, middle schoolers. That should put me in your good graces already. And I have a 3-legged dog. He can do anything a 4-legged dog can do. So I'm an idealist and an optimist, and I really believe in the best in people. And now I'm going to tell you about someone I was dating a little while ago, and he was a musician, super talented, really gifted, very sensitive, artistic type, trustworthy, except for the time that he stole my car, and had butted a police officer that was arresting him for a DUI. So clearly, the two of us together was either going to be a supportive match made in heaven where one of us would really grow, or a codependent, disastrous, downward destructive spiral. And you might guess that it was the latter. That's why I'm here. But so we dated for about a year, and then after that, it all just went, downhill. That can happen. And then we were in this 6-month breakup of gray area, up and down, like, give me another chance, like all that crap. So we're in that, and one night I realized that he's playing a concert, and I know that he had told me, but he didn't invite me. So that was weird, and that had never happened before. So I'm an adult, and I did an adult thing, and I went out with my adult friends, and I had some adult cocktails. I also had a big dinner, so I was a responsible adult, but at the end of the night, I was giving one of my friends a ride home, and I was like, girl, we need to do a drive-by. And she understood what that meant, so she's like, okay, so, just see what we could see. I don't know, right? So I don't have keys or anything, he's on a first floor apartment. I was like, let's just see what happens. So we go cruising by his place. It's about 1 a.m. and all the lights are off. And she's like, yeah, see, like, he's sleeping, like, you're crazy. You are beautiful. You need to go home and relax. Treat yourself, like watch some reality TV. I was like, yeah, totally, reality TV and tea and treats, whatever. And I dropped her off, and then I just was like, turn the car right back around to his place, because I just knew I had like a woman's intuition, primal instinct, whatever you want to call it, stalker impulse. And I was vindicated, because this time when I got there, there was a light on in the apartment that had, formerly been all lights out, and it was the bathroom window. And I think this is what like moths experience when they're just like towards a light that's going to kill them. I just was all of a sudden like teleported or something in front of the window. I don't even know how I got there, but I'm standing outside this apartment in the pitch black at like 1:30 in the morning, and I can't see into the bathroom window, but I'm just in the glow. It just seemed like it was a meaningful glow, and all of a sudden the light turns out, and I think because of that darkness, I was aware of this flickering glow off to the adjacent window, which you all know, that's the bedroom. Okay, so I creep over there, there's sure enough, there's this candle that I know well lit in the window area, and yep, so now my nose is just straight up level with the sill, and I'm looking into someone's bedroom. I definitely in my head was like, get out of here, you're crazy, and then another half was like, no, you need to see this shit. So I'm there, and I'm looking, and I can't really see anything. I can make out like the bed, but that's it, and I was like, maybe he's just relaxing, having a nice evening at home. I'm always telling him to take better care of himself. All of a sudden, his ass is just in the window in my face, and I'm blinded by another kind of light from his pale, pale cheeks, and he gets into the bed and has his back towards me, and I'm like, maybe he's relaxing. I see this arm come up and start like doing a stroking motion, and so it looked like it was even more than lust, which is what really killed me. But here's where my lust for revenge comes in. So I put his ass on ice for a few weeks, obviously, and then we get back in touch, and I find out that there's this thing called a story slam at the same venue that he had played a concert at that night, and the theme was lust. So I invited him to go with me, and we went, And I made him perform too. It was both of our first times. And I dropped the full truth story that I knew that he had cheated at that story slam and won. I got that.